A lot of people overthink body paragraphs, or they tend to imagine that they're a world apart from the very structure of an essay, but that's actually not the case. A body paragraph, in and of itself, is sort of like a miniaturized essay. Similar to a standard essay where you have an intro, you have body paragraphs, and then you have a conclusion, with a body paragraph, you have a very similar breakdown. You have three major components. You have the topic sentence, which is a miniaturized introduction. Then you have your points, claims, and statements. And then you have your explanation of those points, claims, and statements, which we'll get into in just a second. And then you usually end a body paragraph with either a conclusion sentence, or if you mean to transition into the next paragraph, you can have a transition sentence. They're a little more tricky. A transition sentence is a little bit trickier. Sometimes it can take a little bit to get the hang of, but what that does is it provides a smooth entryway into the next subtopic that is to come, your next body paragraph. So you start with the topic sentence, part number one. It is, in essence, a miniaturized introduction. This shouldn't be too lengthy. This shouldn't be too substantive. This should be something of a shorter, brief statement, in a sense. It should encapsulate the subtopic at hand and provide your reader with just a lightweight snippet of information to know exactly what's to come. And the idea is about preparedness, in a sense. You shouldn't get right into the thick of it. You shouldn't start throwing your major points, claims, or statements at your readers. You should have these little preparatory notes in the form of topic sentences so that your reader can read that and know exactly what the subtopic is that is on the way. Then you get into the second portion here, which is points plus explanation here. You get into a duo here, which is you have to have some sort of major point, claim, or statement, and then you must pair it with an explanation of that. You don't want to just jump from point to point to point, because a lot of times what you'll do is you'll start to lose what's called your authorial intent. You're just not getting into it enough. You're not providing enough detail. You're not putting it in your wording enough. And oftentimes what can happen is when you don't provide enough detail, your readers will be left to draw conclusions on their own. And we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. We want to make sure that you are, in essence, guiding them through your essay, sentence by sentence, in as smooth of a manner as possible. So you have your topic sentence, then you get to points plus explanation. And then finally, you have a miniaturized conclusion. And many times students will express that this is one of the more difficult aspects of a body paragraph, is providing something of a lightweight conclusion or transitioning into another body paragraph. And for sure, they're right. When it comes to the nature of a body paragraph, you will probably find most of the challenge, I should say, residing in the conclusion sentence, or if you happen to go that route, a transition sentence into the next paragraph. So when it comes to part two, points plus explanation, you will either be relying on your own points that come from you, as in you are just explaining your thoughts on the page, or you may turn to a source. So this is where you can take borrowed points, claims, or statements. This can oftentimes be data, facts, figures, quotes. This can be paraphrased quotes, as long as you make sure to provide in-text citations. So these can either be your own points, claims, or statements, or they can be that of someone else's. You can find them in a peer-reviewed journal article, a news article, a speech, or whatever source you see fit to integrate into your paper. So the idea here is to envision the intensity of the information, the delivery of the information, as something of a roller coaster, in a sense. Think of the way in which you would view a movie. You're not going to start at the halfway point. Why? Because you're right in the thick of it. You're going to be a little bit lost. And a lot of times students will have this happen if they don't have a topic sentence, if they are not easing into the delivery of that information, starting out nice and low key with a topic sentence, just a little bit of information just to throw at the audience so they know where you're going. Then you get into the points and explanation, this part 2 of 3, where the delivery of the information is the most intense, and then you coast down to the conclusion sentence where you let your reader off gently or subtly prepare them for the next body paragraph that is to come. But if you start in the middle, if you don't have that topic sentence, what you're doing is, in essence, it's like you're starting a movie or a show or something like that partway through. Your reader's going to be lost thinking, where is this information coming from? What is this pertaining to, in a sense? And you don't want that. You want as smooth of a delivery of information as possible. You want as few red flags as possible, because then it becomes cumbersome. People might have to go back and reread the same sentence over and over, what have you. A number of things can go wrong. So you start with that topic sentence, that lightweight introduction. You ramp it up. You get to part 2 out of 3 where you have all of your points and explanations of those points, where the delivery of information is the most intense, and then you ease out of that down to the conclusion, where you will not be throwing anything at your reader that is too overwhelming. This is not the place for quotes, facts, and figures and the introduction of new information. Rather, the conclusion is where you should be stepping things down and you're providing something of a wrap-up, a miniaturized conclusion for that body paragraph you just wrote. So I hope that helped and you have more of a visual understanding of the way in which body paragraphs are structured, as well as the rates at which information is delivered to your audience, because timing is everything when it comes to constructing a solid body paragraph here. But otherwise, if you have any questions or you need any clarifications or anything like that, feel free to reach out, and that's everything.